Greetings, student leaders. Just a little personal note before we get started. When I saw your proposal request on Speakers Match, this great big smile came over my face as I began to read it and realized that you are the Southeast largest led student conference. Congratulations, guys. Activation Energy, the chemistry of leadership. What a great name for your conference. We are going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to engage the audience. We're going to look for some volunteers. We're going to get some people up as I begin to spin some plates, and we'll get them to hold those plates. I want to inspire and motivate you. And we're going to start with a paradigm shift. Of course, that's when we used to see something one way, and now we see it a totally different way. What we're going to be talking about is a particular device, a mnemonic device. We used to see it as a thing of chance, maybe just a toy or a game piece. Now we're going to see it as a thing of choice, a tool to help us to organize our thoughts. It's going to be pretty incredible. With this little die, see if you got two of them, they're dice. Normally you would see a casino die like this and you'd think a game piece, a thing of chance, which is true. But we want to have a paradigm shift and begin to see it as a thing of choice. We're going to call this a gold die, a 7-sided gold die. And we're going to use it as a mnemonic device, as a tool to help us to organize our thoughts. Now, it's nothing more than a mnemonic device. It's a trigger for our brain to help us to remember something. Side 4 teaches us something, side 3 teaches us something. Each individual side teaches us a new lesson. You know, if we were racing around the board as fast as we can possibly go with this, we may roll a 5, we may roll a 2, but our highest, our absolute best would be a 6. With that, we take a chance of doing our best. With this, we choose to do our best. And that's our first step in leadership, is make a commitment to do our best. Every time we've ever done our best, how has that occurred? It's because of the power of focus. Any one thing that we focus on, we find we've been able to do our best. And so the first step in leadership is a commitment to do our best by focusing on one thing at a time. Any one thing that we focus on, we know there's going to be two sides. There's going to be what we know and what we don't know about that one thing that we want to do our best on. So we can't have a closed mind. We have to have an open mind about that one thing we want to do our best on. Leadership is about making decisions. Side 2 is about making decisions. It's breaking things down. It's understanding the rights, the wrongs, the short-term impact of something, the long-term impact of something. Any one thing that we want to do our best on, we've got to begin to understand it. And side 2 will help us to break it down into smaller and smaller pieces until we can. You're going to see how you're going to be able to become better leaders by using a simple, systematic approach to thinking called gold dialogy.
Stan Reynolds is a life coach and a dynamic motivational speaker. Here's what people are saying.
This actually helped me to think what I'm going to do next.
How many of you ever seen a 7-sided gold die? It has 6 outsides and 1 inside.
The inside's invisible, isn't it? Can you see the inside? No, but you know it's there, don't you?
It's the inside that holds everything together. Everything that you're going to accomplish in life is going to come from the inside out, right?
And it's who you and I are on the inside that really makes a difference. If we're going to change our lives, we change our lives from the inside out. From the inside out.
Has anybody ever seen like a stick and you thought it was a snake and you jumped? Has that ever happened to you? Yeah. Well, what literally occurs is that your brain was triggered.
This is going to be a tool to help us to organize our thoughts. Now, the way that it functions, it's going to function as a trigger. It functions as a trigger. Each side means something. When we see 6, it teaches us a lesson. When we see 1, it teaches a lesson.
Stan did a great job of motivating you to think beyond the box.
I think he gave us a very good message for us to come back and do some more with. So I appreciate it, Stan. Well done.
So every time I pull this out of my pocket, I begin to think about my relationship with my wife.
And neither of us were doing what? Neither one of us was listening.
Well, we actually reached a point where it just had gotten to the climax, and I just had her down on her knees like this, and big crocodile tears were coming down, and she said this, "Come out from underneath that bed, you coward!" to learn to begin to see things from her point of view.
It's the first time I've heard Stan give a full class. I've heard him give speeches, but he really excels at the full class. Listening to him, not only do you pick up knowledge of the die, you pick up knowledge of speaking and a confidence that he has in speaking, and I think this really comes from his heart.
If there's an automobile accident out here and 5 different people see this automobile accident, how many stories are we going to have? 5. So when we see side 2 really means that we have to stop seeing things the way that we see it. We need to see it from other people's point of view. When we go to side 4 is categorization. It's the ability to categorize all of our thinking. If we've taken a sheet of paper and we've written things down.
I never thought that something as simple as a little die could teach some life lessons, not just for adults, but something that can be applied to kids and teenagers as well. And I'm anxious to put these lessons into practice right away.
After the fires are out, after you've already dealt with the children and the grandchildren, and you've dealt with all the problems at work and the problems with the house and the car breaking down and all those things, and you begin to decide that you're going to come to the end of the evening, you pull out your change or you pull out your keys, and there it is. There it is. And when you have that and you see it, you're going to remember that you committed yourself to do your what? Best. On one thing. Whatever that one thing is that you want to accomplish. And so literally it's going to take your brain back one more time to that thing that you want to accomplish.
For more information about Stan Reynolds or to schedule a speaking engagement, please check out our website at www.golddie.com.
Listen, this has been a great program. It's the 7-sided gold die program, this system that Stan has put together. You know, for me, I know so many principles, but I don't have a system in place that reminds me how to use the principles that I know. And I'm looking at this program and going, I'm going to put this die in my pocket, this little dice in my pocket, and I'm going to remind myself to use 1 through 6. And yes, there's a 7th side to this that when you get a chance to listen to Stan, he'll explain it to you. All the things fall together. You sit there and say, you know, if I do this on a regular basis, if I put this discipline in my life, I just might get organized. I actually might even get my garage cleaned.
I've just completed a workshop with Stan Reynolds and the gold die system. What I find really exciting about this system is that you can apply it to almost any level of your life. I found it interesting that you could use it to solve a personal problem or to work through a personal problem or a personal situation. You could use it in a business situation. It travels light. The gold die is small. It's easy to use. The principles that are represented by the different sides of the gold die are applicable to so many situations. And Stan is just such a dynamic speaker. He really engages the audience. He has some audience participation as well, which really worked out so that people got to know each other a little bit and to share their goals and their thoughts as to how the gold die system might be able to work for them. And I would really recommend this as a learning tool, a tool for the mind, which is what they represent it as, and it truly is that, for almost anybody in any situation. And I would really highly recommend Stan Reynolds and the gold die for businesses and for individuals.